The market is crashing. Bitcoin dipped under $90,000 and dragged the whole crypto market down with it. Ethereum erased all of its gains, and altcoins are bleeding even harder. Billions of dollars in liquidations are wiping out leveraged positions left, right, and center. Whales are dumping, extreme fear is spreading like wildfire, and everywhere you look on social media, they're screaming bear market. It's enough to make anyone just sell off their crypto and swear it off for good. But what if I told you that all of this panic is just noise? That the doom scrolls from your favorite influencers are nothing more than engagement bait designed to keep you clicking? The facts tell a completely different story. There's some central bank moves and government spending plans coming, and a global economic shift that no one seems to be paying attention to right now. A massive wave of liquidity is building, getting ready to crash over the markets and lift everything up. We're not entering a bear winter. We're on the edge of a liquidity storm that's about to flood the system with easy money. But I know you're wondering, when is all of this going to happen? In this video, I'll walk you through the key macro moves that are driving this, explain how they work in simple terms, and give you the exact timeline for what happens next. By the end, you'll see why the bear calls are dead wrong. So hit the like button and stick with me on this one, because this is going to completely change how you're looking at things right now. Before we get into it, here's a quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. Crypto is high risk. Always do your own research and treat this content as pure education to help you understand this space better. Now, to get things rolling, we need to start with bonds, because that's where this liquidity story starts. A bond is just an IOU. You loan someone money, they pay you interest over time, then give you your money back at the end. If you buy a $1,000 bond paying 5% for 10 years, you get $50 yearly, then you're $1,000 back. Treasury bonds are the same thing, except you're loaning money to the US government. When the government runs a budget deficit, it sells these bonds to cover the gap. Everyone buys them. Regular people, pension funds, foreign countries, banks, even the Federal Reserve, because they're the safest investment on earth. The US has never missed a payment. And here's what matters. Bond prices and interest rates move in the opposite direction. When rates fall, bond prices go up. This is important because when the Fed wants to stimulate the economy and make borrowing cheaper, it buys bonds. This drives bond prices up, which pushes interest rates down. Lower rates means cheaper borrowing for everyone. Mortgages, business loans, everything gets less expensive. That's how the Fed's bond buying pumps money into the economy. And all that cash eventually flows into assets like crypto. If all of this is making sense to you and you find value in breakdowns like this, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to level up both your crypto game and macro money understanding. Now, here's where it gets wild. When the Fed buys treasury bonds, it doesn't use existing money. It creates brand new dollars out of thin air and gives those dollars straight to banks. That's why we keep going back to this video of the money printer going burr. The Fed buys $100 billion in bonds, creates $100 billion fresh dollars, banks lend it out, and it spreads through the economy. This is quantitative easing, or QE, and it pumps money into the system while making borrowing cheaper everywhere. The opposite is quantitative tightening, or QT, where the Fed stops buying bonds and pulls money out to fight inflation. That's what we've been living through for years. But it's ending now. When the Fed starts buying bonds again, it creates dollars that didn't exist before. And that fresh money flows straight into assets offering the best returns. And that includes crypto and stocks. Cheaper money always chases higher returns, and that's exactly what's about to happen. Now let's jump into the timeline. We'll start with right now through the end of December, because the first moves are already happening. Here's why this is all happening now. Inflation has cooled off enough that central banks can finally start pumping the economy again without worrying about prices going crazy high. They've kept money tight for years to fight inflation, but that fight is finally over. Now they're focusing on pumping the economy before it slows down too much. The biggest shift is the Fed ending quantitative tightening on December 1st. The Fed finally stops taking money away from the economy and starts buying bonds again, creating hundreds of billions in fresh cash that goes straight into banks. Banks lend more, interest rates drop, and the system loosens up. This is pure money creation in real time. Right along with this, the US government is starting to spend after the recent shutdown. So billions of dollars in back pay are being paid to workers and companies in the next few weeks. Then there is the big, beautiful bill with trillions more in direct payments and tax cuts, all strategically timed before the midterm elections. As the government spends all this money, the Fed prints more money and buys back bonds to fund it. And that keeps the interest rates low. And this isn't just happening in the US. China is also cutting rates and pumping trillions into their economy. The global money printer is going burr too. But there's more. Trillions of dollars in corporate and government debt is coming due right now. Instead of paying it off, companies refinance at lower rates. A company that borrowed at 7% can now refinance at 4%. When businesses save money, those savings turn into cash for growth and hiring. And when thousands of companies do this at once, it's a massive boost to spending power because we're talking about billions of dollars. All of this happens in the next 6 weeks. Liquidity is finally filling up after years of being drained, and that cash is going to be hunting for the best returns. Historically, that means crypto. Things might be bleeding right now, but crypto has typically always outperformed safer investments. And here's the thing. While most people have been panicking in fear, watching everything bleed, we've actually been celebrating inside the FireHustle VIP Discord because we've been positioned on plays like Zera since June, long before this liquidity wave comes and everyone wakes up to it. We hunted it down as a high conviction play when it was still quiet. When the market crashed and everyone else was panic selling, Zera held like a champion. The dip got bought up instantly. That's real strength, and that's what early positioning looks like. The YouTube videos gave you the headlines after the moves happen, but the VIP Discord is where we spot projects like Zera months before anyone else realizes, map out the narratives before they heat up, and build positions while it's still quiet. When this liquidity floods the system and everyone's scrambling to figure out what to do, we'll already have a game plan. So come check out the FireHustle VIP Discord. The feedback has been absolutely phenomenal so far, and everyone's loving it. The link is in the description down below. Come and try it out for a month. Now back to the timeline. Now that we have a good idea of what's coming this year, let's move into Q1 of 2026 because that's when things really accelerate. One of the biggest catalysts is banks legally being able to lend way more. Right now, there's a rule limiting how much banks can hold in treasury bonds. When that rule loosens in Q1, banks can suddenly take on tons more government debt without needing extra capital. This unleashes hundreds of billions in fresh lending. Credit gets cheaper and there's way more available everywhere. At the same time, Europe and Japan jump in. They start making their own money printers go burr and cut interest rates when their governments boost spending. This creates fresh euros and yen. And that cash is going to be searching for higher returns. And where are those higher returns? Bingo. You guessed it. Crypto. We're all hitting a global liquidity cycle peak, something that happens every 4 to 6 years where all the major central banks line up at once. And we saw this from 2020 to 2021. And we all know what happened in 2021. When it hits, everything goes parabolic. Then there's the crypto-specific catalyst, the Clarity Act. This law clears up the legal confusion around digital assets. For years, massive institutions like pension funds have sat on the sidelines because the rules were unclear. Now they can finally allocate to crypto without legal risk. We're talking trillions in capital that's been waiting for this green light. In an environment flooded with liquidity, that money hunts for the highest returns and billions flow into crypto. All of this builds on itself. The Fed keeps buying bonds, governments keep spending, China keeps stimulating, and companies keep refinancing debt at lower rates. The government alone refinances $9 trillion in debt during this period, and the Fed makes it smooth by being a steady buyer. By the end of Q1, liquidity is going to be overflowing. That money is going to be rotating hard into risk assets like crypto. And for the rest of 2026, all of these forces keep building. The Fed's money printer will keep going burr throughout the year. The government spending will stay especially strong because politicians want a strong economy heading into midterm elections. And of course, China, Europe, and Japan are going to keep adding trillions more. Everything compounds. The early money injections in these next few weeks are going to build momentum, and everything just keeps rolling from there. Liquidity gets deeper and deeper, and risk assets like crypto go higher and higher. 1 year from now, you'll forget this market dip ever happened. But of course, there's a dark side to all of this. The market will eventually reach a peak and it will enter another bear market, but that's a conversation for another day where rotations and exit strategies become the most important. I talk about all of that and more on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't ever miss an update. Look, the bear talk feels real in the moment. When you see red candles, when your portfolio is down, when every influencer is posting some BS, that emotional response is natural. But the macro setup tells us something completely different. Liquidity is coming, it's already started, and it's gonna lift crypto the way it always has. Don't get caught up with guessing tops or bottoms. It's about understanding the underlying forces at play, the actual mechanics of money creation, government spending, and regulatory changes, so you can position yourself instead of just reacting to headlines. Patience is gonna serve you well, and to me it feels like we're almost there. Take this information, go build on it, and adjust your perspective accordingly. If you want deeper dives in any of this or want to know the specific strategies that I'm using to get positioned, then come and join me in the FireHustle VIP Discord. It's where we break everything down in real time. I'm there every single day with my team. The link is in the description down below. And before I sign off, a quick reminder, this video is for educational purposes only. It's not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.